going to do here is basically, how we're going to get in a trade. I think this is kind of where you and Joe are at. You guys are kind of in the same section right now, even though Joe's kind of have his trade developed a little bit. But it's the okay, why am I entering? What trade am I entering? And then what am I doing with my trade, right? And actually, XRP is making a move. But it comes down to, the first thing that we have to have, right? And this is just our strategy, right? Strategy one is always going to have the basics in it, right? It's like, what makes my trade live, right? So the first thing is we want to move with um, basically momentum and sentiment, right? So for that, we're going to use the 4 hour RSI up, right? And then the next part of it, which is confirmation, right? So confirmation is always going to come down to volume, right? So here we're going to use the 1 hour moon as our indicator for um, basically volume, right? Confirmation that what we're seeing has the probability of doing what we want it to do, right? And then once we have that kind of set up, that is, I think this is where, like I was saying, you and Joe are in the same boat. When you go to strategy two, right? This is the entry, right? So this is where we're going the 5 minute green moon, right? Um, Reset, right? Something like that. Very simple. So what we want to do here is set up the alerts so that we're getting kind of what we want out of it, and then understanding some points of interest, right? So we call them rules, right? So 5 minute volume over 10 line, right? 10 minute in week or markets, right? So right there, that's a rule that we can kind of like put in play, so that you always have that in the back of your head, right? So 5 minute volume over the 10 line, 10 minute in weaker markets, right? Second part of that is going to be 1 hour RSI up, or in RSI in your direction, right? We always say your direction, right? What that means is that whatever direction you're going up or down, that's going in your direction, right? And then another thing is a 10-minute RSI reset if topped, or if over 80%, right? So these are rules. We haven't really like covered this here, but these are just basically things you can put in there in your head to where it'll stop you from making a trade that is too weak to do what it's supposed to do, and then put you in a situation where um, you end up making a trade that makes more sense for you, and that just kind of like sits with um, what works, right? So the 5 minute volume is, we'll cover that in a second, just where the volume's over the 10 line. And then, in a weaker market, you want to see if the volume is over the 10 threshold on the 10 minute, right? That'll confirm that there's actual volume. The second thing is just the RSI. Make sure you're trading in your direction. If you're going long, it's up. If you're going short, it's down. This 10-minute RSI reset if it's over 80%. What that means is if you're looking at a 10-minute time frame, right, and you look down at where your entry is going to happen, if the 10-minute is on its like above this 80 line over here, if it's like almost topping, then what you'd want it to do is you want it to re-pull back, and then what you're going to do is trade with it on its next move up, because you're trading with momentum on that. XRP is actually building momentum right now. So that kind of like those. Does that make sense for you guys? How to the 10-minute RSI reset if over 80%? Joey, that makes sense.
Sorry, you caught me with a mouthful.
You're good, bro. What you get? Chocolate? You finding real love
I
out
got
there?
peanut butter crackers.
Peanut butter. Oh, this guy. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's just making sure that we're trading with momentum and we're trading with that, and that's really where we want to go. Like you see here, this 10-minute XRP. You see how it failed right there while we're watching it, just printed it down, right? And that's kind of where now if I'm looking at this XRP as a whole, I go to my 1 hour, right? My 1 hour is kind of like creeping down, going sideways, but it's not up. It hasn't crossed over. If I go to my 4 hour, I have where the volume is pushing up, but remember that it's a weaker market, so the the momentum on the smaller time frames will have more, they'll move more than they should than in a stronger market. And then if I go to my 5 minute, notice here that my volume is not above the 10 threshold. You see? So that would have saved me right there if I was thinking XRP was looking good. I wouldn't have made that trade because one of the rules is the 5 minute has to get above there, and then I would want
Right.
right now in a weaker market, I'd want to come here and I want to see that my 10 is above the 10 threshold, which it is, but then my RSI needs to reset, right? So what you're doing here is you're naturally looking for the move that normally kills your trade, right? You're kind of like
Mhm.
when you're deciding to get to an entry, you're asking to see the move that you is going to take you out, to see it already to happen, so then you can get into a trade that makes more sense for you, right? It's like you already said, okay,
Right.
I'm looking for this move to happen. Oh, there it is. Then you can get a little more, as long as everything's moving your direction. Then you can get a little more aggressive because you've seen the one move that would have took you out or made your position, worse, and you turn it into if you're good and get better, you turn it into a positive because your entry on a dip gets better. So instead of your entry being up here, you enter down on the dip, and now you're like, oh, I'm even better now, right? As
Right.
long as everything's going in your direction. So that's kind of like the benefit of like running um, that scenario out, right? So right now, the way you guys want to play this, because we are also in a slower market, you want to kind of just walk through those steps of the rules just to make sure that you're getting that one move out the way for what we call we're looking for greedy entry. There we go. And what that basically is just like if people were playing, and this is where Ed's kind of developing, he's looking at long-term trades, lower leverage, but he's looking at the support and resistance now, right? And he's starting to develop these new things that he's working on, right? So here it kind of comes down to the basics. So let's cover how we were posting in the Discord. We have a possible 1 hour XRP moon coming up. We knew it was coming. And when people post that, what it allows people to do is basically go and look at their coin, right? So if we get that alert, and this was at 1300 hours in the morning this morning, we would have been in this section over here. So we could take a look and we could see at that time that we were heading towards a 1 hour green moon this morning, right? Now, even if it wasn't printed at that time, we knew it was coming. That allows us to then kind of go through our steps. What's our first step? We want to make sure that we're moving in the direction of our RSI. Now, if it's not heading up at that time, which it wasn't, but I took a closer look at it, I can see that the line isn't just going straight down on this particular move. I can see that it's starting to make adjustments, right? So it's supposed to be going like that, straight down. Now I can see that there's a little bit of a curve to it, right? And that curve started happening early morning, and then at 6 o'clock this morning, it made another curve, right? So at this time, when we were looking at this at 10 o'clock in the morning, we could see that it was already bending. So the next time that this printed, which would have been basically here at we should have been at 12 here. It should have been at 12 in this spot here. But the next time it prints in there, we know that more than likely it's probably going to bend up at that level, right? So that showed me that we had some momentum there. So what we're going to do here is kind of setting the alerts. I'm going to show you how we're going to take advantage of this a little bit differently. But that 4 hours showed me that it was bending, show me some momentum. So that way I know there's a 1 hour coming, the 4 hours showing life. So those are my strategy number one, right? So now that I got my two strategy number ones out the way, which is simple, 4 hour RSI up for momentum, and the 1 hour moon is just going to give me confirmation of value, which was happening. So at that point, when all that happens, which happens at 1300 hours, when the moon hits, I go to my 5 minute, and now I'm in my next part of this move, right? And this is kind of where you guys are, is just your entry point, right? And that's just basically strategy 2, entry, 5 minute green moon, right? And put reset in there just so that River, look at River spikes, crazy. And what this does for you is basically here is once you get that, well, we would have been in this box over here, this white box over here. And when we got that 1 hour moon, that would have been that yellow line right there. And we would have noticed at that time that we were currently looking at a blue moon, like we're in a blue moon state. But what we also see is what we're looking for is part of the rules is we want volume above the 10 threshold, which we have here, right? So that's kind of like the first thing to say, okay, this actually has a little life to it, right? This is a possible trade, right? And I can then double check it by going to the 10 minute, taking a peek at it at that point to see where the 10 threshold is, right? And I can see here that we're actually breaking the 10 threshold on the 10 minute too. So this now gets my awareness that, okay, well, this is definitely a trade I could take. So now I go back to my 5 minute, and all I'm waiting for here is the pullback, right? Because we had the break above 10 threshold. We're going to have a pullback, which happens to already be happening. And the moment that that starts to break up in its direction to the top side, right? Whether it's a green moon you're waiting for confirmation or whatever, but that's going to put us in the situation where this becomes our entry. And that's pretty much where we're at. So that situation there is how this would have played out for us today. So it would have been putting our entry point, even if we get a higher coin here and we bought somewhere in that point there. This is how it played out for us. So that's kind of working your basics, working through your basics there to get your momentum. The only other thing you want to do is right when you're about to make your trade, you slide to the 1 hour just to make sure we're still in Momentumville. Now we see right here, 1300 hours, the 1 hour is still heading up. So the 1 hour is heading up, everything thresholds are hit. This is a good trade. We get in here at 130.67. That's our trade, and then now what we do here is basically we can take a peek and say, okay, here's how this trade played out, right? And this is just for data, right? You come in here, you got your trade. We'll take the top of that candle, worst condition, and we're just gonna monitor this real quick. And this is just so as we move forward, we understand market conditions, right? So this is gonna put us up here. We did a 6%. The pullback on there was about 1.2, right? So now I can just mark this up, right? So screenshot. All right, 6% up, 1.12 down. Copy that. Now, what that does for us is kind of like just lets us see, how that plays out, right? As we start to move forward, and here, 1 hour moon trades, right? So here we go again. We post this, XRP. Let me drop this across. Let me get rid of this. Okay, XRP, 1 hour moon, 4 hour up, enter, post, there we go. So now we can see this, we can take tracks of this and start to see how it produces. So this one produced a 1.2% on Doge the last time we saw it with a 0.5 pullback, right? So as we start to get more of these, you guys will start to see, like, as value and market conditions change, you'll start to see higher percentages. And that's how you know when something's like starting to actually like build, volume for us, right? But it's important to kind of track the trades that you're getting into and what they do. Even if you took, let's say your job was to take a 30-30, right? So on here you're doing a 30x leverage, and so what you need is a 1% move. So you would have got paid somewhere around here, and you'd be out this trade, right? You would still track the momentum of how high it went, so that you're aware of the market condition, right? So even though your trade ended here at 1% and you won, right? You wanted to see, well, how much did it do at the end of the day? So we got a 6 out of there, not too bad. And it probably still has more into it, but that was the initial push, right? So now that we have that all squared out, that's kind of like looking at the basics. So this is, take a look at this video, go back, and these are the fundamentals. We're not doing anything crazy here, but I want you to incorporate the rules. 5-minute volume over 10 line, 10-minute, in weaker markets, which we're currently in, and the RSI in your direction on the 1 hour, and the 10-minute reset, right? And let me go back here and let's get back to our entry point just to double check. And what I mean by that is, as you look here and you decide to make your entry, you can see here that the green moon entry came in here. At the part of that decision, the 5-minute was down below, but I want to look at the 10, and all I'm looking for is the 10-minute reset, right? So another thing that I noticed here is that when this became a green light, right, is that the 10-minute RSI had already went down and started up. So if I would have been looking at this trade knowing that I needed the 10-minute to come down, and I checked that out first while I was like, all right, I'm about to get this entry. What does my 10-minute RSI look like? And I notice it's heading down, then I'm waiting, right? The minute it bounced up, which would have basically from here to here would have been exactly when that moon hit. So when that happened, that cleared my way to an entry, and that also, the RSI also confirmed that you're trading in momentum. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
See, now when you start to see that, you're like, okay, that's how I can, now I'm starting to understand where momentum and volume confirm together for me. Makes it safer to trade, right? And those are the kind of like the ones we like to see when those pockets all hit together. So now that that's all in there, let's get to basic setting alerts here. So this way you guys can go back, short video, short day tonight. Just really get you to a situation where you're seeing kind of how everything's playing out for you, to where it just builds into the section for you to like how to set alerts a little bit better for yourself, so that you can confirm a little bit quicker, right? So what I want to do here is, if I'm doing XRP, I want to know when my first thing is my moons, right? So, and the other thing is I need my 4-hour RSI to be, moving in my direction. So I need momentum here. So what I can do to kind of give me earlier alerts, I can slide down to the 2-hour and just head over to my RSI, click on the blue or red button. Up to the top, you'll see the thing that says add an alert. And it should say stochastic RSI, right? So when you click on that, you're in the right one. So all I'm going to do here is on the crossing, I'm going to put that in. It's a 2-hour now. I'm going to go down here to my messages, right on the left side, trigger, explanation, message. I'm going to go to message, and I'm just going to alert name. Now this is going to be on XRP. This is going to be a 2-hour RSI cross, right? And I'm just going to apply that. And that's my create an alert. And it should pop up in your alert section. Very simple. So now I'm going to get these alerts that when the 2-hour crosses, which is basically heading in different directions, that'll allow me to kind of take a peek at XRP, 4-hour to see where I'm at, but more importantly, to look at the 1-hour moon to see how the volume is building for myself, right? Now we are getting the moon indicator updated with the new, what they call it, there's different coding. Every once in a while, TradingView will upgrade their coding, and then sometimes it won't initiate like the old way, but we have to update that. But now I'm going to do here is, because the other coin, you want to have more than one coin, because you don't want to be stuck staring at a coin that you love to trade and then it's not creating a trade that you want to trade, and then you end up trying to force a trade, right? So go back, and now we want to use a coin like, we're going to be Doge, XRP, um, Solana, and Bitcoin. So this here is going to be 2-hour RSI. Now I need to put the coin up first. So this is my Doge. 2-hour RSI. Now I know what it means. It's crossing. So normally I don't put that in there, but I'm going to apply it. I'm going to create. And now I need to slide over to my other coin that I like to trade, which is going to be Solana. I'm going to jump in there. And make sure you're on the right time frame. Right? We're on the 2-hour. I'm going to click there. Set an alert. We're going to go to name the message. So this is Solana 2-hour RSI crossing. We're going to apply, create, and then the other one I want to do is Ethereum. And that's because Ethereum kind of moves the market for the other coins. So this is 2-hour ETH RSI crossing. And then the last one is going to be Bitcoin. So I can be aware of the market as a total. So I have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Doge, XRP. And this will allow me to kind of like get alerts on the whole market here. So 2-hour BTC, RSI, crossing. All right, very simple, apply, create. So now my alerts are over here. I can see 2-hour XRP, Solana, Ethereum, Doge, and Bitcoin, right? So now as these alerts come to me, which will be in my log, then I can just click on them. It takes me to that coin, and it alerts me what's going on. So right now it's alerting me to a 2-hour RSI crossing for XRP. Now currently, the last time this printed was 2000 hour, right? So the next 30 minutes, there's another RSI print. So now this is saying there might be a crossing coming. Now it spit out an alert, so we don't know yet because we don't have it. It's not printed yet. So we'll have to wait to see how that kind of like plays out there. But this just lets it know that it's warning me that it's getting weak there, right? Now at that point, I know that my XRP is getting a little bit weak, and I can start looking for the trades that I would make there, right? Now, normally I'm going to short. If I'm going to short XRP, what do I need? 2-hour blue moon, right? So just going back to the steps. I don't have a 2-hour blue moon, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. And then I can kind of move across my where I want to be. I can slide over to Solana. Here I can look. I can see already I'm getting a crossing here, which I should get an alert. But that's nowhere near a blue moon. I can look at Ethereum. Nowhere near a blue moon. I can look at Doge. Getting a crossing, no blue moon. So right now, I mean, the market looks, right, you see what I'm saying? If you guys, as an overview now, you can see that everything that we're really looking at here is kind of saying that the market is pretty, pretty solid here. So more than likely, everything that we're kind of like building into here is probably going to go in the, the long direction, right? I'm gonna get out of my river short here. And now let me go to river and take a peek here. So 4-hour moving up, and you can see the 4-hour. See, that's what I was looking for here was a 4-hour blue moon to give me some push here, but I didn't get it. Right. So here's the 2-hour move on river that caused the short play that we just kind of went through, and then it's hesitating, but it's building momentum. And now that I looked at the market, I can tell that. Will you get out of there? Okay. I can tell that this dude loves some Easter candy. Get that baby before he kills somebody for you. But now I can see that, overall the market, how it's playing out. I can see here that we're starting to move in a different direction here, where we're starting to get a little more. The pullbacks are kind of like ending here. We're moving into a different direction here for it. But this will allow you, as you start to see these trades happen, you'll start to develop the market awareness. which is really key to everything. So now, whatever I'm seeing out there, now that I've kind of seen these major coins, I realize that there's no shorts in the game here. These are going to be longs. So right now, what I'm looking for is confirmations of the pullback. So I can go to a 45 minute, and all I'm looking for is a 45 minute to finish its move. And when the 30 and 45 start to head back in the other direction, I can see the momentum picking up. And really, at that point, if I go to my 5 minute, all I'm really looking for is the 5 minute to break the threshold. You can see right here, Bitcoin's about to get a moon on the Bitcoin. It's about to get a 5 minute moon, which should, I would say, in the next 2 hours, an hour and a half, it's going to break the. Would put us here where we at 2130, 2330. So by here, Bitcoin should be breaking the 10 threshold. And then at the 10 minute, yeah, see that. So you see here, see how the 5 minute is below, right? And then when I move to my 10, because that's really what I want to know, notice that I'm already there. See, I'm already pretty much above my zero line. I'm closing in. So this is very bullish right now. So we're starting to see the change of direction for the market here. Now we're also going into late night, so Asia normally will sell. We're not going to get any volume probably until London. But right now we're not going to take the risk on these particular trades because we haven't seen enough data, right? We got to stay inside our weak market until we start to see more, right? Which means we can take a peek on our overall, look at our daily. Our daily's still moving up, which is good. It just broke the zero line. All right, the weekly is fighting its way up. That's real good. So overall, we're picking up momentum. We're where we're supposed to be. We're predicting, the third week, the last week of April, to start being the big push. So right now, we're seeing this is wave one. Right, so we should see a push up here in the next couple of days as we push through, and then we're going to see a pullback the following, week or so. And then after that pullback, about 50% on that, and then we should see the market should actually rip. But what I want you guys to kind of see is like once you start seeing the markets play out and how they're moving, then you can start seeing like, okay, now I'm setting up my next trade. So right here, what we need is, I don't think we're getting a blue moon. So what we'd want is the 1 hour to reset, right? Kind of pull down, make its move, which it's doing right now. And this is where we're just waiting for it to recycle. So we're going to rotate till tomorrow. We'll see what the morning kind of comes. We'll see where this goes at the night. This should be a little more of a push. I don't think it'll do too much, but then we'll have a pullback, and then this is where we'll be looking for this to start up again and entries down in these areas here. That's Solana. Let's look at Doge. Yeah, so we're looking for pullbacks in these areas here and start to move up. And this is what we talked about before. Remember, we talked about the 2 hour. See how the volume is way above the threshold? This is normally going to be a setup for a pullback. It's just that this pullback is probably going to take 4 hours to manifest, somewhere around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Then it'll have its pullback, and that'll bring us to where we want to be tomorrow, which is where we get a full reset. So right now, the market's really like working into the correct market cycle, which is pump through the morning, New York time, pump through the afternoon, close out, final pushes to Asia. Asia takes profit at the end. London either pushes a little and then pulls back in the beginning of New York, and then we repeat our cycle. So the market's starting to get a little bit of glimmer here, and it's starting to like build. So for you guys, I just want you to get to where you're just walking through your steps, right? And then just posting what you're doing there. Just posting on the side of, watching it happen, going through your rules. So go back, watch the video, cover this simplicity, right? 4 hour RSI, 1 hour moon, 5 minute green moon reset entry, and just take a little note, sticky notepad or something, and just basically say, okay, 5-minute volume over the 10 line, 10-minute volume over the 10 line in weaker markets is what we want. 1 hour RSI in our direction, okay? And then right when you decide you're about to get into your trade, you're making your move, is the 10-minute RSI above the 80, right? Meaning I'm looking at the RSI, this last dotted line here, that's considered the 80 line right here. If you look to your right, you will see that that's the 80 line over there. So if I'm up in this area here and my 10 minutes up in here, I want it to pull back, and then when it starts back up, that's when I'm looking to get in. Or if I'm really greedy, I'll let it pull all the way back, and then I'll get in on that move there, right? But normally once it starts pulling back and then starts to push up, if you're following the other rules currently, right, 1 hour moon, 4 hour up, you probably just, as soon as the 10 minutes starts to reverse, you get that 5-minute green moon, and that's your long. And then from there, we just track what happens, right? We're doing a 30-30-30. 30% leverage, 30% target, 30% stop loss, right? Keep it simple. That makes sense, Joey?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about that. So I tried reading what was on the chat or whatever, and then tried to put in my trades on Bit or whatever, and I have like no idea what I was doing.
All right, so here. So basically when you're doing a trade here, this is your first thing you got to do is find your coin. So let's say we're doing Doge, right? So top left, or yeah, it should be all top left. You type in Doge. You're going to pull up your coin. Very first thing that you do is you go here to where it says isolated and crossed, right? You're going to go.
Are you in futures?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah. So you just go to futures. Go to futures here, and then normally let's go to. Let's say that if you're anywhere, you pick up your overview, go to your futures. When you click it, right? Sometimes it'll say like, it'll have what you're trading. Just go to futures again and then click it again, and then it should take you to the charts. Okay. Now, once you're in the charts, you go to your top left. You see how my Bitcoin, and then see how it says cross here? We go to isolated. So make sure every time, or just do it right away. Just if I'm going to trade Bitcoin, yeah, just go to the coins that you're going to be trading. So like I'm going to be trading Ethereum, so I'm going to click on Ethereum, and then I'm going to go ahead and change that over to isolated. I'm going to confirm it. I'm going to be trading Doge. Go over to Doge. Turn that to isolated, and that's it. So now once you have that set up, the next thing is now what is your leverage. You can do 33 up to 40, that's fine, and then you just confirm it, right? Now when you set up your Doge or whatever you're doing and you make your trade, right? So now you have to transfer funds over, right? So when you transfer, it says spot to futures, right? And then it tells you what you can transfer over, right? So if I want to transfer something over, transfer over a certain amount, right? So if you're doing trades, and most of the time you're going to have your rewards here anyways, so you'll be funded with your rewards. But if you need to put $100 in there, just transfer over $100 and say, okay, I got my $100 in here. All right, what's next? So now when you go to make a trade, you're gonna you don't go to 100, go to 99%. But the easiest way to get the price that you currently are here, you just hit market and then go back to limit. Now I have the price that's pretty much current here, and then I can as I'm making my trade, I can decide how I want to get in there, right? So if I'm going long here, right? So right now I'm doing 94.61. It's above where it's at there. So if I'm getting in there, I'm okay. It'll take that buy. Now let's say the reason why a lot of times when we do this trade here, we go like 98 or 99, is so that we have a little bit of leeway. So let's say that we do 50 in here, right? And I open up a long, but it's not in the position where it's like going, but it's moving. I can just push that up like that, and I can get that trade in, because you can drag it once you put it in there. But that's pretty much it. So once you do that, you set up your limit, click your order, right, and then now you're in. Once you're in, right, if you have to drag it a little to get in, or if you can't drag it, just go down to here, go to your uh, orders or open orders, and then you'll see over here you can cancel them out, cancel all, cancel that, and then reset it up. Now once you're in your trade, you can slide over here and then decide, like, okay, first things first, you always put your stop loss, right? So here we're doing a 30 30 30, so that'll be 30 30 confirm, right? The other thing you want to do is, if it's your first time, make sure that it's by ROI, return on investment. Set that up first. Then that way when you move your 30, it's basically going based off the money, right? So 30% of whatever's in there. If it's $100, it's $100. It's in there. There you go. You confirm it and rock and roll.
So that's what I feel like I did on when I put in my trade or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And even the last one, I thought for sure, like there was no doubt that I was going to ride XRP up to 133, and it did. And it went past that. However, like both times I entered a trade, I was out like within seconds or minutes. I was like, what the fuck? So I must be doing something wrong with the way that
It's probably your stop loss.
I'm entering it.
Right? Did you move your stop loss to ROI?
That I don't know.
Yeah, because if I was in PS,
Can I pull that up?
so if I'm here, right, this is a lot different profit and loss versus ROI. So make sure.
I didn't even, my screen doesn't look anything like that. I'm doing it off. I'm trading off my phone.
Oh.
When I'm watching you on. Yeah, I'm watching you on my iPad.
Yeah. So what you want to do is probably.
And then when I pull it, up on the Mac, it's like insanely blown up. Like it's crazy. It's like the back screen is twice as big as it should be, or something.
Go to. I think you mentioned that. So go to YouTube and see like how to change that, right? Because normally if you go to here to settings, like there's settings over here that you can go to, and you can basically adjust it. See how it says settings, right? So you should be able to kind of layout. Go to layout.
Make it look like, yeah, there you go. Make it look like Trading View.
Yeah. Go to layout and you have pro left, pro right, vertical layout, right? Chart, display, right? So just for you, I think you'd probably just need to go to top right settings, go to layout, and then pick a new one, like a pro left or pro right. And then once that happens, it should recalibrate. And the other thing is, like for us, I don't use a Mac, but you go to the three dots up here, you have your zooms.
It's yeah, I'm ready to just go get a PC just for doing this because it's frustrating.
Yeah, I believe that.
Like the screen, like picture your home screen, right? For a bit, and it's literally twice as wide as it should be. So I gotta like swipe from one side of the screen over to the other. It's bizarre. I've never had this happen with any other site.
No,
and Trading View is a bitch. Like to try to figure.
Is your Trading View's like big too on Mac?
No, it's not big, but it's like how do I put this? When I'm doing a chart or whatever, next thing you know, it's like the chart becomes humongous. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then I just like exit out of it. When I was trying to put my indicators on, and I was like, I exit out and then come back in, and everything's fine again. And then it was like when I would switch the time frame, like say I went from like a 4 hour to the 1 hour, the candles would get humongous. Like I don't know.
Yeah, no, you need to
like
go.
I said,
just go grab a $300 PC. Yeah. go to Best Buy.
It's not worth the headaches. Like I'm sitting here trying to follow, and then I'm like doing shit on the computer, and it's not matching yours, and then I'm pulling up my phone, it doesn't match, and I'm just like, so I just need to get
something wrong with that.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would do that on there. Yeah, because I don't use the phone.
When I put in know if I used that slide indicator that you did, but I know I like did the math in my head where I could like picturing where the market was going to move, and I don't know if I have that. Like tonight, like writing all this stuff down is definitely going to help, because what I just do is I get in there and I just start looking at all the different time frames,
Yeah.
and there's no system, no rhyme or reason. It's like, you know me, I'm like following